Just want to bring you a bit of breaking news and update on the situation. We're hearing from the Israel Defense Forces that based on information that has been received from the Red Cross, the hostages are currently on their way to the Rafah crossing in the Gaza Strip. And those will be the Israeli hostages, as confirmed by the Red Cross, are now on their journey to the Rafah crossing in the Gaza Strip. We'll keep you updated as soon as we get more information on that. In the meantime, joining me now from Washington, D.C. is former senior policy advisor to the US State Department's Israel-Palestinian negotiating team, Laura Blumenfeld. Good evening to you. You will have heard me just giving out that information that the hostages are now on their way to the Rafah crossing in the Gaza Strip. Were you surprised by the hiccup that we experienced today?
Good evening. Just crossing my fingers to quote President Biden, absolutely not surprised. When I worked on the Israeli-Palestinian negotiating team in the U.S. State Department under President Obama, we had a saying that nothing is agreed until everything is agreed. And very often that meant the whole deal would blow up. And so this is a day-by-day ordeal as we try to free these hostages. And I expect there'll be future hiccups. The good news is Biden is passionate. Passionately committed to this. There was a hiccup this morning. He got on the phone on his Thanksgiving break on a Saturday. He called the emir of Qatar, and 3.5 hours later, it seemed like the deal was back on. So that's the good news. From the start, we've seen that kind of personal involvement, whether it was his own boots on the ground, flying out to Tel Aviv to meet with Prime Minister Netanyahu. He sent his battleships. He sent Blinken. So the U.S. president's all in. I think there will be hiccups ahead, but hopefully he'll be there to work through it.
Yes, I was going to ask you about the American involvement, because it's been reported that Qatar and Egypt basically brokered the way through this latest hiccup. But the involvement, as you say, of President Biden has been extremely high, and we understand will continue to be so.
Yeah, that's what's fascinating. You've got Qatar and Egypt and the Israel chief of the Mossad and the Americans. They're all diplomatic foxhole buddies now. So the positive view is that we can turn this into something else going forward, following the war, as we look toward a broader regional peace and understanding. As Secretary Blinken said, we can't go back to the status quo. So yes, Qataris have been, I would say, the linchpin here with the help of the Egyptians. From the first visit of Secretary Blinken to the region, I noticed he sort of paused, even sitting there in Tel Aviv, and said a very special thank you to Qatar for your help on the issue of the hostages. And this was just days after October 7th. So I think, there was this expectation that they would be a very, very productive diplomatic channel. And so far, so good.
But as you say, still a challenge. And the IDF had said that Hamas are playing games because they had stuck to the letter of the truce, although Hamas was saying that humanitarian aid hadn't been allowed through. Can we expect more of the same following on the rest of the days of this ceasefire?
I'm afraid so. And this is the Middle East, so there's going to be haggling over the price of the hostages, so to speak. Right now it's 3-1, but it's helpful for the viewers to remember that in 2011 there were over 1,000 prisoners exchanged, Palestinian prisoners exchanged for one single Israeli soldier. So the price is probably going to go up. The conditions will change. It's a nail biter, down to the nub.
In your experience of these matters and this particular area of politics, do you think it is likely that it will go past the 4 days of ceasefire? Do you think it's likely there will be an extension?
I think that there will be. I think that there's an opportunity, and especially domestically in Israel, they're desperate to bring their people home. There's going to be tremendous pressure by the Israeli public to extend the pause. For as long as there are Israelis being held in Gaza, that pressure is going to be on the Israeli military. They'd like to finish the job. They have not accomplished their stated goal, which is eradicating Hamas and creating a buffer zone. On the other hand, there's going to be domestic and international pressure as aid groups go in and start to report on the suffering, the tremendous bloodshed and suffering on the civilian side among the Palestinians. I think that you're going to see a day and another day and another day, and time is not on Israel's side militarily during these pauses.